Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Chloe DeVirier here, and if you clicked on this video, I'm going to assume that you're potentially considering a move to sunny Southern California and potentially moving to the heart of Los Angeles. I've been in your shoes. In fact, I'm originally from Northern California. I moved down here about 8 years ago. Since then, I have truly learned the ins and outs of the city, especially working in residential real estate here. So with that being said, let's hop right into what you should know about and the pros and cons of living in this gorgeous city. Let's start with the pros because in my opinion, cons should always be last. Now, one of my favorite things about LA is that we are very central to a lot of weekend getaway destinations. You're about a 2-hour drive from Joshua Tree, Palm Desert, Santa Barbara, Big Bear, San Diego, and you have a lot of opportunities to go explore different pockets while remaining close to home. Big Bear is amazing for, if you want to go skiing in the winter or you want to rent out a lake house in the summer. And it's really nice to have those destinations so close to you. Number 2, LA is incredibly culturally diverse, and it truly is a big melting pot here. I mean, you have people from all walks of life, and that really opens up the door for a lot of experiences, restaurants that are outside of your American bubble, I like to say. You really can tap into any culture here and experience that at the base of your hometown. Number 3, a con to LA is that it's incredibly massive. I mean, you can easily drive 2 hours in one direction of our city. But that being said, there are, as a pro, very many little pockets throughout Los Angeles, and each pocket is very unique. Each pocket has its own vibe, its own energy. So the pro to that is that you can really kind of find a pocket that speaks to you. Personally, I love the West Side. I love Brentwood, Santa Monica, Westwood. That whole pocket is really spoken to me. But I know people that love Pasadena or Silver Lake. These are all incredibly unique, and you can find something that feels more to your liking. Another pro that I would say is that the city is pretty active and pretty energetic. People always make jokes about LA, how no one seems to have a job, because you really do see people out and about in the city at any hour of the day. And you oftentimes ask yourself, what do these people do for a living? And even then I'll go to the grocery store at 2 o'clock and I'm like, if I'm here, what are you doing here? But our city has a lot of non-conventional jobs, a lot of creators, and a lot of people who really just don't work a standard 9 to 5. Of course, you have your good chunk of 9 to 5ers, but there's so many opportunities in LA that you wouldn't find in any other city, and that's what keeps the city so alive. Now, this one's an obvious one considering we are in sunny Southern California, but it really is true. You pretty much have sunshine year round. I will say I've gotten pretty sensitive now. I feel like I'm so used to warm weather that if it even hits 65, I'm like, oh, it's so cold. But you really do have sunshine almost year round. You can do any activity that you want, usually year round. And something else too is we're so close to the beach. I mean, I live 15 minutes from the beach, and sometimes I forget that it's right there. And we take things for granted at times, but I do remember moving here and being like, it's so warm and it's so happy here, and you have the beach, you can go watch sunsets every evening if you wanted to, and that is just part of the California lifestyle. And my last remaining pro is in regards to the real estate market. Now, there are pros and cons to the real estate market, which I will tackle in full depth in the cons section, but I will say the one pro about Los Angeles real estate is, yes, it is expensive. That being said, we have a very hyper-local market, and what's typically happening nationwide rarely is as impactful as it is in LA. LA at the end of the day just has such limited inventory, so many people moving in and out of the city. I mean, even during COVID, that was one of LA's busiest real estate markets. And so the pro to that is if you ever find yourself in a position where you can invest into a property, a home or a condo, it will typically appreciate very strongly. LA real estate is just very consistent across the board about appreciating 5 to 6% each year, even during the downturn of the market. And so it is a great investment and a great opportunity for you to build equity. Let's tackle the cons, because in reality, no city is perfect, and LA definitely has their cons to living here. It's really, you just have to outweigh the pros and the cons, and if it's worth it or something you can overlook. But these are my personal experiences about things that can tend to be a little annoying about Los Angeles. Number one, you absolutely need a car here. I know there are some major cities that you can get away with not having a car, like New York. With LA, the city is just so massive that it's almost impossible to get anywhere without having a car. And on top of that, our public transportation system is really decades behind any other major city like New York. And they are in the process of building a massive metro line across Los Angeles. So that is a pro, and hopefully should be done within the next decade. But that being said, it is tough to get around here if you don't have a main form of transportation. On the topic of transportation, traffic, everybody knows about Los Angeles traffic, and everybody jokes about how the 405 is the biggest parking lot in the country. And they are not exaggerating. There is traffic at all hours of the day. It doesn't matter if you try to avoid the rush hour time, which is usually, I would feel like 3 to 7, 8 p.m. Even then, if it's late at night, early in the morning, midday, there is always traffic wherever you go. That is just the reality of Los Angeles. So you definitely have to factor that into your commute time. Also, because there's so much traffic, if you live, let's say on the west side, and you want to go and do something in the evening in the valley, it's almost impossible to get over there during a weekday unless you decide you're okay with sitting in an hour's worth of traffic. And so it does limit the days that you can go explore different parts of the city. Cost of living here, it's not cheap. And that is with anything you spend money on here. If car insurance, you're paying an ultimate premium because there's higher accident rates here. Real estate / rent, incredibly expensive. Affordability here is an issue. Restaurants, coffee, I mean, you could easily drop $20 on a coffee and a croissant. That's inflation, that's Los Angeles, that's just kind of the reality of the world that we live in. Grocery bills, they're gonna be much higher than living in the middle of nowhere. So cost of living here it's expensive. And even if you're making 6 figures here, sometimes you're considered part of the poorer group of our city. So something to factor into if you're going to be relocating here, have savings to be able to adjust to that certain lifestyle. On the topic of being expensive, real estate, as we briefly mentioned in our pros section, real estate here is not cheap. And on average, a sales price is around $1 million. But if I'm being frank, if you have $1 million budget, you're not going to be anywhere close to the beach. You're probably going to be in the valley or in surrounding areas, or purchasing a condo. A single family home here. I mean, LA is a bit of a unicorn. Homes will sell for $800,000 up to $150 million, $200 million. So real estate here is not cheap, and you'll find that often the average first-time home buyer age is much older than, say, anywhere else in the country. A lot of first-time home buyers are often in their mid to late 30s, sometimes even their 40s. And a lot of people are often in a position where they need to have a partner to invest into a home together with in order to have the income requirements to qualify for that loan. That being said, as I said, real estate here appreciates so much more significantly than anywhere other in the country. So if you are able to get into a property and hold on to it for a few years before making another move, that is a massive opportunity for you to make some wealth. I'm not going to fluff this with you guys. Homelessness in LA is a serious issue. And I really hate to say it, I've personally almost gotten to the point where you're so desensitized to it. Anywhere you go, you're usually going to see a homeless person on the street, sometimes doing things that you don't want to see. And so that is an issue. Personally, I've never had a homeless individual attack me or make me feel unsafe in any certain moment. But, you know, it is something that you're cautious of, especially if you're a woman, and it's just something that you're gonna have to deal with if you choose to move to our city. Another con I would say is there's not a lot of green space here. And maybe that's just from coming from living in Northern California, where we're so used to having lush trees and so many hiking trails. Hiking is definitely a thing here, but it's very desert-like, and there's fewer options than you would have in any other city or part of any other state. So if you're a big outdoorsy person, you might find yourself driving sometimes an hour or 2 hours to get outside of that main hub of the city in order to get that experience that you're looking for. The last one that I'm going to bring up is something about the quality of people here. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my bubble of people here, and there are really amazing, good, genuine people here. However, LA is also very notorious for being a bit of a pretentious city, a lot of entitled individuals. It can be very flashy. A lot of people, you know, decked out in designer when they really don't have the funds to do that. And so everyone's always kind of playing a game here. And so you really have to find your place in terms of the people that you surround yourself with. And if that's something that you like, that's great. But if not, you're going to have to work maybe a little bit harder to find those really true, genuine relationships here in the city. But I promise they definitely do exist. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know that making a move to any new city can be a little intimidating, but I promise at the end of the day, overall, LA is a wonderful place to live. So many people move here for these very reasons of everything that I've talked about today. If you are ever thinking of purchasing a home or a condo in this city and you need some guidance on that, I'm more than happy to hop on a free consultation call, answer some questions. I will also link down below a copy of my home buyer's guide. And if you're thinking of selling, my home seller's guide as well. Please, guys, use me as a resource information. I want to help you. And so lean on me if you ever have anything that comes to mind. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.